I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is Monday, February 26, 2018. It's 5:30 p.m. We are in the City Hall Council Chambers, and roll call, Patty.
Cyphers.
Present.
Hawkins.
Present.
Hassick.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Zarling.
Here.
It's been determined that we have a quorum, and we will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. First item on the agenda is to approve the night's agenda. That was in your packet. And is there a motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion offered by Cyphers and second by Hassick. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next item, 6.1 minutes from our last meeting, February 12th, and the minutes were in your packet. Is there please a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion offered by Peters and second by Zarling. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next item is 7.1, and it's open discussion, and Vern Sprague is here to address the council. And so, Vern, would you please go to the microphone and state your name and the address that you would like to talk to us about?
Hi, my name is Vern Sprague. I live at 230 South Prairie Avenue, and I guess the discussion is about a broken curb stop or shut-off, water shut-off valve at my property. The valve is broke. I notified the city back on the 16th of January, and it hasn't been repaired. Subsequently, this came about is the house that the water had been shut off to has about several thousand gallons of frozen water in it. It's damaged the north wall and the floors and the upstairs, and I got thousands of dollars worth of damage, and it's city water in a property that's the water's been shut off since 2012, and the meter was taken out by the city in 2013. So there's groundwater, it's leaking up above onto the surface. It's been on the sidewalk. I've posted a sign so that people don't fall down where the water's running across the sidewalk. I just don't understand. I guess I'm kind of confused as to why it hasn't been fixed. And something to do with, I'm just kind of curious about the damages to the property. I mean, it's city water that came through a pipe that's capped and shut off by the city, so I'm, for 5 or 6 years, so I'm kind of up in the air as to what to do. I followed all the procedures, and it's gotten nowhere. So that's what I'm here to figure out, if there's something we can resolve to get this fixed and get something squared away as far as the damages and as far as getting the shut-off valve stopped. I mean, I even gone out and talked to I talked to 3 plumbers, 2 of them. I went to Day Plumbing and Heating, spoke to Bill Krumholtz, showed him a picture that I'd sent to Councilman Yu and Councilman Hawkins and Zarling. And I took it over to Ken Walters, had Total Comfort, and had him look at it. And they're all, in the same deal. They all say that the shutoff valve is broke, and for whatever reason. And they even feel that some of the water that's frozen in the basement may have followed the pipe in. It may be split someplace and followed it in. I even got that because I talked to Dean Grotti about the repairs to the basement walls, and he even said he told me examples shared some stories of some of the stuff that he's gone through. So I know Dean said that it was going to be about $40,000 in that range to fix the basement. So I don't know. There's no insurance on the house. There's liability on the property, but nothing on that house. So I'm kind of left with a dilemma here.
And you and I have visited, as you had stated before, and just, Mike, do you have any comments? You have filed a claim with the city.
Right.
And it has gone through that process through the League of Minnesota Cities is who represents us, and that you've had chances with the adjuster, but you just haven't come to a resolution with the adjuster.
He said he sent me a letter, which parts of it I don't quite understand, because this started on, when I found this, it was late in the 15th of January, and I went to the city hall, came here on the 16th, first thing in the morning, and Doug, I don't know what his
Yep.
last name is, came
Okay.
from the water
Yep.
thing and came down and he looked at it, and then later two guys showed up with a truck and the shut-off valve, and Doug tried to tell me that the water was never shut off to the property, and I said, well, how would you not shut the water off if there's not a meter in there? I don't know how you would do that. And so the two guys came down, and they stuck that tool down in the deal, and it was shut off. So, and then I said, well, how would I get the water if it's shut off? And they said, we don't know. And of course, they promptly took that T-bar thing and they beat on it with a hammer. And I don't know what that was to prove. And then they did turn it on, turned it off. The city employee and I were down in the basement, and they were looking to see if the water was gonna come out. Well, the pipe is froze solid. The pipe from the floor up is probably about 4 feet, and it's wrapped in ice. So it'd be like, something in a cooler, so there's no way. But in the letter from the guy, he said that the city employees told him that the water came out of that pipe when they turned it on and turned it off. And I was there saw what they did, and there's no way water could come out of that pipe. So in his letter, he's saying that there's nothing wrong with the shut-off valve. So I don't know how I'm gonna have all this ice and all this damage and not be any, be a problem. So some of the stuff that he wrote in his letter was just kind of, a little bizarre, I guess, or not to the truth, so I'm not sure why, or if that was just something that was discussed after he left my property or what, so.
Right. Go ahead.
Well, the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Claims Adjuster has investigated it with our folks. Our folks at the water plant are saying that the water's been shut off, the water valve is not leaking, that the water's coming from somewhere else, possibly from the collapsed basement happening long before this and letting water in. But we can't find any water leak would be the city's fault. And so, as with any claim, we have them make their claim with the League of Minnesota Cities. They do their investigation, and then it's my recommendation to the council that we continue to follow our insurance company's lead and let them address this issue for us.
So go ahead, Wayne, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering where our responsibility is. Is it from the shut off does it end at the shut off?
Generally, it ends at the shut-off, yes.
Okay, so if water in the basement did come from that spot, because the only place it could come from that spot where that was unhooked, right?
I don't know where the water would come
No,
from,
but
so I'm not
if it came,
speculating.
if it came
I'm not,
from,
don't know that it did.
no, I know, but I'm saying hypothetical, if it did, there'd be some evidence somewhere, right? You think there'd be evidence? I mean, would somebody have to, if he wanted to prove that, would he need to have somebody dig it up and prove that, then I suppose?
I think that would be an option for him to wait till spring and dig up the yard to see if something is leaking. But that was never done, and the meter's gone and the water shuts off and the curb stop operates as it should.
Right, so somehow somebody would need to provide proof that the water from that curb stop ended up in his basement, and there is no proof of that right now, which is why they're denying the claim.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay,
And they can't determine that the collapsed wall was the result of this. It's an old stone foundation and they collapse from time to time. I don't know if it's groundwater seeping in, what it is, so I don't have a good explanation or an answer other than it's with the League of Minnesota Cities.
Vern, we have that has been the practice and of the council is that, and that's why we have our insurance through the League of Minnesota Cities. and that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as the owner, and the League of Minnesotas is doing. And if you can't come to an agreement on that by working with the adjuster, then that's when you as a landowner will have to do other options if that's what you see needs to be done.
I guess you just have got me totally confused.
That's okay.
'Cause
We'll start over.
I've got pictures, your adjuster's been there, it's all city water. There's no
What proof
ground.
do you have that it's city water?
Well, it's the only place it can come out of is the pipe that it came out of. It came out of the fitting, it was what happened to it. The shut-off valve is not shut off at the street. It's broken or something's wrong with it.
So you have pictures of that or what?
Of what?
The shut-off valve that's broken.
I can't, because it's 5 feet down in the ground. And that's the only place the water can come. It's a gate valve. And when it's broken or cracked or whatever's wrong with it, it lets the water out and it goes to wherever the water needs to go. But I can't do that because the curb stop belongs to the city of Fairmont.
But yeah, but the city of Fairmont via and the League of Minnesota Cities saying that that curb stop is not broken, that it's not leaking there.
But they have no proof of that, because Doug came out, and when the adjuster was there, he said, well, we had them guys listen to it, and they can, with a listening device, and I said, I was standing there the whole time, they never did anything with any listening device. And I said, so you're wrong. Well, then he got mad and walked off, and then he come back later and said, yeah, you're right. They didn't listen to it, and I said, you wouldn't hear anything. It's froze solid. There's no way water can, it's finally froze itself. It just leaked until it froze itself up solid. There's no way that water can come out of it. I've taken it apart. I took the shutoff valve off of it as per the plumbers told me to take it off. And the shutoff valve that's in the basement, because there's one there, and everything's froze solid. And it won't thaw, it won't come undone because if you wait until it thaws, that thing is just gonna keep running because that valve is broke. I've got 3 plumbers that have said the same thing. And Bill Krumholz gave me an example of up on Knollwood Drive of something that had happened. A retired plumber that I talked to, he talked about a house where there were snowbirds. They had the water shut off and something happened to it and it filled the basement full and neighbors found the water running out of the garage door. So they
Also,
do.
if it's true though that it is currently, you think it's currently broken right now?
Yeah, it's leaking right now. I'll guarantee you once we get through the thaw and that basement thaws out, because I'll take the shutoff valve off that's in the basement, and I'll guarantee you're gonna have water running like crazy. And there's water on top of the ground. When they came out to where the shutoff valve is on the boulevard, where they take the nut off and they put the tool down inside of it, that was covered in ice. That was just a ball of ice when it was dug out. So there's water running across the side. I got pictures of the sidewalk when it's below zero and it's got water sitting on it. It's not, so where did that water come from? Because once somebody said to me, well, it's runoff. And I said, the day they were out there, the 16th of January, the temperature, that was the warmest sunny day we had. And it was 22 with a wind chill of like 10 when they were out there. So I said, how does that become groundwater? You know,
Well, I
Well,
think,
my suggestion would be that Mr. Sprague can hire someone to dig his yard up in when it thaws out, and if in fact he can prove that there's a problem with our shutoff valve, and I mean, this house has been sitting vacant since 2012 or 13. I mean, if our guys are saying there's no water on their shutoff tool when they take it out, I don't know any way to, and I don't think now is the appropriate time to be tearing up a yard. So I think if the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, he should contact them and say, I want to leave my claim open. I don't agree with you. We'll open it up in the summer, and I'll prove to you, city, that you're
Mistaken.
mistaken and that you're causing me damage. And then the League of Minnesota Cities will then tell us what we should or shouldn't be doing.
And it should be easy in the spring.
yeah, but my biggest concern here is I have 2 houses, and this is on the north side of the bigger house. And this is the last thing, what I'm afraid of is gonna end up in a sinkhole, based on with the information that I've gotten from the plumbers, that this pipe is, because it's, the shutoff valve has got a copper pipe coming out of it, and that's what they connect the connects to the pipe that goes to the house. And they said that's what usually is the main failure point from the plumbers that have to dig, that had experience with these plumbing leaks. And I'm afraid there's gonna be a sinkhole. And I don't want my house that I live in to end up having the basement wall caved in on there. So, and as far as the stone basement, there was nothing wrong with that basement. It wasn't caved in from before or anything like that, so I don't understand how they could make that, because the water has gone under the floor, because there's so much water there. It's pushed the floor up 6 inches in places. And that's what everybody I talked to said, that, I think Dean Grotti put it like hydraulic pressure or something like that, I think is what he said. He said, that's the reason why the wall caved in. He said, it isn't been caved in, and I haven't had any problems, because the picture I sent you guys, you'll see in there's a $60 aluminum ladder sitting in that basement. So I use that basement, and I use that house for storage. And, you know, and I wouldn't be leaving, you know, because that was one thing that the adjuster said, well, it's groundwater. And I said, you can see the pipe coming up, and the picture shows the water going down. So how would that be groundwater? And that basement's never had any water in it anyway, because the walls are, you know, 2 or 3 feet thick. So I will say this, it's a creepy old basement. It's not something that, you know, you'd want to spend your time in, but it's never been a problem. It's never had the floors heaved up and things like that.
Well, again, I
so.
think come thaw time, it'll be very, very easy. If you turn the valve on, water comes out, and probably there's a broken valve. And if you don't,
Well, yeah, it'll be able to be investigated once spring comes, and if the city's at fault, then we'll have to deal with it. So, yeah, I agree with Mike. I'd recommend leaving the claim open, and, because if the city's at fault, the city shouldn't run away from it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's gonna be a mess anyway, and I just don't, you know, I'm just
It
kind of.
doesn't sound like that the council or that the staff is willing to do anything today.
Right.
You know, it sounds like they're willing to look at it once the property time is the spring. I'd say, do you have a problem with doing that?
Well,
Well-
at this point, it isn't, you know,
We won't look at it,
Yeah,
the adjuster.
Whatever.
Well, there's a difference. There is a big difference between that, because that's what we pay the adjuster to do, is to represent the city. And so there is a difference, and that's the way that.
Well, I meant the right way, so whatever I
Okay,
said, I meant the
okay.
right way.
Okay, well, that's,
I'm just, like I said, we can wait for it to thaw, but I'm really worried based on what the plumbers, the professionals have told me is gonna happen here, and I just don't wanna wake up one day and see a geyser.
right, we don't want that for you either.
Yeah, and this house is to the south side of my house that I live in, and I certainly don't want any more of the basement wall to be caving in, because I surely don't want a 2-story house falling on top of my other house, on the house I live in, so.
Exactly.
You know, so I have a lot of concerns, but to tell me that the water, that what's in there isn't city water, I mean, I've got a testing thing. If somebody wants to come witness, and I'll take some chunks of ice and we'll send it up to New Ulm, up to the Minnesota Valley testing thing, and have them test it too. Because when I asked them, where does this water come from? Everybody goes, I don't know. Well,
it could be a broken main, which is a whole different story.
yeah. Well, that was the other thing but like I said, if you do a little internet search, you see the first thing they tell everybody is not to beat on the shut-off bar, and that's what them 2 guys were out there in dead cold beating on that thing with a big hammer, and I don't know what that exactly proved, so, but anyway, well,
Okay, thank you, Vern,
only
for
I
coming.
appreciate your time.
You're
The only
welcome.
thing that I'd like to add is if you fix it on your own, and I think it'd be good if somebody from the water department was there when you get close to that valve, so they can look at it while it's in the process.
Thank you, Vern.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
Yep,
very
thanks,
much.
sir. Yep, thank you.
Okay, next item is 9.1, and it's the public hearing on snow removal. And so at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. And for people that would like to come and address the council, please come to the microphone and state your name and your address. And there's a couple people here that I know that would like to address, and so I would just ask you to be courteous with the length of time so that everybody can have their chance to say what they'd like to say. And then also that if you would like to address the council and you have a suggestion, not just an issue, but a suggestion on how we can make that better, that would be a very, very good thing. There will be no decision made tonight, but we would love to hear what you have to say. And so whoever would like to come to the microphone first, your name, address, and please address us. Go ahead, Terry. Yeah, exactly.
Terry Larson, 1520 Charles Street. And actually, I'm sure there's been so many complaints over that one big snowfall, and I think that it looks to me, at least it hasn't been as much as the last time, but that things have definitely improved. And one of the things that I noticed was even like the intersections better, so that, because I only drive a car. I don't have a four-wheel drive to, buck through that stuff. So, but one of the problems that I think is why it takes them so long in getting through all of our streets is because why don't we have a snow emergency? I mean, little towns like Welcome have a snow emergency that you can't park on the street. And it's that constant of them having to swerve around and shoot, after a few snowfalls, your double lane road turns into a single. I mean, you can't meet another vehicle because those cars are all still parked there. They don't move, and I've seen some tickets on some, but it takes like weeks before they actually leave. So I don't know if the people are gone or just what, but I'd say tow them, and that would probably free up a lot of the time, that they waste doing that. And then my only other that I've always tried to figure out is the location where I live on Charles Street. My street gets plowed, like right away, like by 6:30 in the morning, it's done. Okay, I head to work, I get to the end of Cardinal Street, and Cardinal is still full of snow. Well, I was told at one point, well, it's because Goldfinch is back there behind me, so you have to keep that so that they can get to Goldfinch. Well, how do you get to Goldfinch? On Cardinal. So if Cardinal isn't done, you have to, and if they do come from the highway, then why are they wasting their time coming down my street if it's just to get it open to Goldfinch? And, Cardinal Street, all the buses and all of that travel on Cardinal Street every morning. And most of the time, now not this last Saturday, but the one before that, it was done by 7:30 in the morning. I mean, I know Cardinal was all done. And so was Prairie, which a lot of times Prairie gets done just right past Brian Sweet's office. And then going to the south, it isn't. It's like they turn around right past Brian's entrance to his office building and head back.
Okay.
So those are just my points.
Thank you for being here. Anyone else like to address the council?
My name is Abby Gibson, 1311 North Elm Street. I'm agreeing with her. I do believe that this town should have a snow emergency. It's ridiculous that we don't. I live on a very narrow street. You get two cars that park there, and there is no way a city plow is coming down that street. There's just not going to happen. Small towns, like she said, Welcome, Sherburne, they have snow emergencies. Part of the problem, though, is, too, you have these cars that are parked on the street, they get plowed in, they leave a mess. I feel that the owners of those vehicles should be responsible for that cleanup or face a fine because our city workers have to come back and clean up after them. So I do feel that a snow emergency would be a good thing to have. I notice in our neighborhood especially, there's a lot of people that don't want to park in the street because they have or don't want to park in their driveway because they have alley parking. They don't want to walk an extra 20 feet. And backing out of my driveway, my neighbor has a big truck with a blade and a trailer parked at the end of my driveway all the time. It gets dangerous for me to back out of my driveway because I might hit his truck. I couldn't imagine how a plow driver feels trying to go down those streets and not try to hit cars, because that's your liability insurance that's going to be paying for damaged vehicles. So I would like to see Fairmont implement an emergency snow removal, even if it runs from the end of October till the beginning of April. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Abby.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Dan Kastner. I live on 702 Burton Lane. I agree here with the other people too that, there are problems with parking. I've got a picture here that I'll give to Nick to pass around. Nick knows what it's about. He's seen it before. He knows, and this is just one street that these guys have to plow around every time it snows, and these cars, they sit there or they plow themselves out, and when they come back, they back into that same spot. That's just, that's a problem just on my end. It's hard when you get this much snow, keeping it curb to curb. However, if you start early in the first fall, when you get to the curb, I can see it. Sometimes we don't always get to the curb. It's probably hard to feel the curb with the plows, so you can't get that far. I have a plow myself, so I can clean my street, and I have to clean my street because my wife has a business in her basement, and we have to have clients park there. So we have to have a parking spot for them. You go up the hill and there's it's I don't know if it's assisted living or whatever it is, but you have 4 people that work there, and you get 2 cars parked here and 2 cars parked here, you're down to 1 lane, and it's only 1 lane. The other thing these other people have addressed was the windrows at the intersections. A suggestion maybe, I'm not gonna tell you how to do your job, but Blue Earth Avenue is commercial, Zone B, all the way down to Day Plumbing. The trucks go up and down there numerous times, dropping salt, spreading it out, come back, salt it, come back, spread it. Maybe you can take the road grader and go side by side and take it from the curb to the center right away. It would take out all the excess snow that's packed down, because the road graders will get it down to the cement or the asphalt, put it to the middle. I know it's gonna take more time, because you have downtown plaza to do and everything else, but it's just a suggestion, maybe something like that would work. The windrows, this would take care of that at the intersections, so maybe something like that would work. I think that's about all I've got. These guys, I know these guys, what they do. I'm out every morning when they are. So I do my own commercial snow removal, and, I've known these guys forever. So I have no problem with the way they do their work. I'm just suggesting some different ways, maybe to help them.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Dan.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Thanks, Dan.
Anyone else like to address the council? Sure, thank you.
I'm not going to make any friends, I'm sure. My name's Vicki Schulte. I live on 313 South Prairie. I do have to let you guys know that we are very privileged to even be able to have this conversation. So the fact that, we can talk about snow versus something else that's like more dangerous that other cities have to deal with, that's privilege on our end. It is also a concern of mine because I do believe that there is a lot of issues with how we're being plowed out when we do have snow issues. And granted, it only snows really heavy a couple times a year, and it's usually around this time. But I do feel that there could be different ways or better training or different types of things that we can do when we're plowing. Maybe come out earlier or purchase better equipment so our plows aren't pushing snow back into people's driveways, because that's a huge issue on my street. This last year, our plows were out and about and they got stuck. So if our plows are getting stuck, that means we need some kind of better equipment to deal with snow when we have such large amounts. Also, there was some issues that I've observed when people do plow my street. They drive straight through very quickly. It only takes them like 3 minutes, and all the snow gets pushed right back into everybody's drives after they've paid somebody to either remove it or pushed it out themselves. Not everybody is an able person to be able to remove snow. We have elderly, we have disabled, we have poor that don't have the type of equipment to be able to move that snow on their own. So I think you guys need to take those things into consideration when it comes to snow removal for the people that live in your city. There is also the issue with things that happen when people are plowing. Last year, my kids almost got hit by a plow when they were trying to cross the street, so I think our drivers should be a little bit more cautious on how they're driving when they're driving through, and the times that they were driving through, and not do it during school hours or by bus route hours. So I think they should be more cautious on their timing. Also, what happened to me this last snowfall that we had, not this last one, but the one before, when it got really nice afterwards, because we had a lot of snow, and then the next day, we still had like off-center streets, like Potter Street, for an example. That's a street where we have a lot of people, elderly and people with disabilities that live in that area. They were not able to even get out of their street the next day because that was not cleared out and had not been cleared out at all until late in the evening. So I don't feel that's appropriate, because then we have elderly and people with disabilities stuck in their homes. And then also, before I got home, because of course it was a beautiful day, I paid someone to get me out of my driveway because I do not have the equipment to do it myself. My neighbor, however, does, and she does a very beautiful job at it at 4 in the morning, scratching the pavement. It's fun. But anyway, what happened was it then melted because it got warm, and then it froze before I got home off of work at 7 o'clock that night. And so me to take my little shovel to try to get this big 2-foot drift out of my driveway for me to even be able to park in my driveway versus being stuck parking on the street, you know, it just doesn't work. Some people don't have driveways, so they can't move their car into a driveway to get out of the way for street plows to go through. So maybe in those areas, we need a smaller plow to be able to get into those streets. You know, I mean, these are all ideas that we can come up with. You know, I want people to start thinking about these things, because we could do better as a city, you know, to be able to help all the people that live here, not just, you know, and I'm not trying to take any stabs at the people that do the work. I know their job's not easy. I wouldn't want to be stuck in a snow plow at 2 in the morning, you know, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. But, you know, the last, 3-4 years, we've raised taxes. I think we should utilize some of that tax money that we've been taking from our community and start getting the stuff that we need to be able to address some of these things when our people have concerns. So, yeah, I guess that's all I can say, so.
Thank you,
Anyway.
Vicki.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ed Willett, 316 Stady Lane. I guess I would just like to say, I think all this is being driven by one big snowstorm. And myself personally, I think you guys do a good job. I would hate to see a lot more equipment purchased or more people hired for the peak snowstorm or whatever. I would like to keep the taxes as low as they possibly could and continue the service. I like the idea. I guess I wasn't even aware, just living here 6 years now, that you don't have a snow emergency thing. I think where I came from, they just call it at 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning, unless it's an automatic thing. But you might want to consider that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Anyone else like to address the city?
Brian Parity, 204 System Drive. I've worked for the city for nigh on to 30 years now, and I'm a heavy equipment operator. And I can say firsthand, from when I started working, and Jim can attest to that, the equipment we have nowadays compared to what we had 30 years ago is almost second to none. And when we go out to plow, we don't just leave off at 8 o'clock in the evening or 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. We go from the time Nick calls until everything is open. And that means everybody can get wherever they want to go. Okay, the last big snowfall, they said the city was overwhelmed. I heard that. No, we're not overwhelmed. We're frustrated. I get frustrated. My cohorts in crime get frustrated. Sometimes you got to think out of the box. I myself have to stop and think, okay, what I'm doing right now isn't working. Okay, I run a front end loader, weighs 40,000 pounds. And when you've got people tailgating you and they say, okay, you know, like the last snowfall, or that big snowfall, that's nothing. That is nothing compared to what we used to go through when I was growing up. I used to be snowmobiling by Thanksgiving. We had V-plows on by December 25th. Now, if you think you got snow in your driveways now, have a V-plow come by. I'm sorry, but this is Minnesota. The snow has got to go somewhere. We tried the snow gates for years. Snow gates are a hindrance. They're maintenance, a nightmare. You spend more time going back to the shop, having the dang thing fixed, than you do going out and trying to do something with them. And, it's not like we take every from the center of the road and try to put it in everybody's driveway. That's not the way it works. It's not the city's snow. It's everybody's snow. I go out at 2 o'clock in the morning, midnight. What do I got to do when I come home? I got to clean my driveway, regardless. So what kind of burns me is when they say the city was overwhelmed. We weren't overwhelmed. I've been here where we've had 30-some inches during the week, and that's back-to-back snows. We keep going. We keep going until everything is done. And if the stuff gets packed down, they say no travel is advised. Stay home, because that's what packs all that snow down. Okay, so we get all that packed down. We've got all the snow moved off to the side, and then it starts to thaw. What are we going to do? We're going to send blades out. We're going to send our underbodies out. We're going to send the loaders out, and we're going to scrape. You can't be everywhere at one time, and it's impossible. Somebody's going to be first, somebody's going to be last.
Oops, sorry.
We try to hit all the main spots first, downtown, get all the through streets going. Nick can reiterate to that. Troy can, Mike can. It's not a favoritism thing. It's just the way things are going. And if things got to be changed, so be it. I think a snow emergency would be great. I don't think an offset. I think everything should be off the streets, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to get through someplace that you can't fit my loader through, or our truck plows, or the graders. then we gotta send a little pickup down there with a plow on it, or a 1-ton, and you don't get the same service as you get with the big plow, because they can't scrape as hard as we can. So it's just, I'm just trying to give you a perspective from being a plow operator. And Deb rode with Rick during that 16 inches. Half the time, me and Travis or Mark or somebody else that's out in a grader or in a loader, sometimes we're pulled off what we gotta do because we gotta pull somebody out. We get stuck. It's gonna happen. I don't care if you've got a tandem axle with chains on it, you're gonna get stuck. And when people say we need better equipment, we need this, we need that, we've got the equipment, we've got the knowledge, we just get frustrated. So sometimes you gotta step back and hit it a different way. So, and that's what I thought we did during the 16 inches of snow. And I'm sorry, you think you've seen it once, or you think you've seen the worst of it? All of a sudden, something else comes down the pipe, and that's 10 times worse than what it was this time. The weather patterns change. Right now, we're kind of in a lull. Who's to say next year we won't get 300 inches of snow? Or we don't get zip? Back when in 79, 78, when the lakes were drying up, they said it would take 10 years to fill the lakes back up. You know how long it took? 7.5 hours. Because we got a deluge. And I was working for the city in the summertime at that time, and it ran from Amber Lake Park through past the yacht club, through Gumshoe Park, and everything was filled right back up. So you just can't judge the weather. You can't depend on it. It's going to be the same year after year. So, anyway.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Anyone else? If hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing.
Can I just say one more thing then?
You go right ahead. If you go to the microphone.
And I'm sure it's because of the snow that it's like it is, but is there any way that they could put even some barricades or something up right now, up by the law enforcement center? I thought my whole tire was going. There is a couple really huge potholes up there. There's a bunch of little ones, but if they could somehow do something, because somebody's gonna break something on their car if they hit that just right. So,
Thank you, Terry.
yep.
And so at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing, and do I need a motion to close the public hearing?
So
Is
moved.
there a motion, please, to
Second.
close? Motion offered by Hassick and second by Zarling. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Next one.
Do we get to say anything, or?
Well, sure, go ahead. You can say
Yeah,
something.
I just basically want to take the time, because I had a lot of, I put a post, advertising that this hearing tonight on my Facebook page. And of course, I had lots of comments, so I just wanted to kind of review a few of the things that people suggest. And I just kind of made a list of the things that a lot of people I heard either by, on the Facebook, by phone, people stop in my office, I got emails from different people, and so I kind of put some of the things that highlighted the things that were common, that I got a lot of similar comments about. And, you take it for what it's worth. First thing I want to do, though, I want to thank Brian for his comments about, because I'm sure that the city workers feel a little bit piled on in these kind of situations when they hear about people complaining. So I just want to read something that I kind of put down in regards to that. And I just wanted to stipulate that when somebody expresses their concern about the snow removal process, they're virtually never expressing their dissatisfaction with the city employees who are moving the snow. Quite often, the first response to people expressing their opinion is to defend our city employees by saying, our employees do a great job. And this is a true statement, but that statement also can imply that those who are speaking up are targeting the employees on the street. And intentionally or not, that does create some division and it causes people not to want to share their concerns. So the most important thing we can do as as a city officials, is hear from our citizens. And that's what we wanted to do tonight. And, you know, as I learned from, you know, Walt Disney training I've taken in the past, it may not be our fault, but it is our problem. And so, taking Brian's comments to heart, I just want people to know that when people share concerns, they are not concerned about the work that our city employees do. And that's come up a few times. That's a kind of a defense. So I just wanted to mention that, first of all. Second of all, I just wanted to just list a few of the things that, and some of them were brought up tonight, the snow emergency thing, Terry and others who have brought that up. I found this out at the last meeting where it came up. I guess we do have a snow emergency policy. We just don't enforce it. We don't apply it. And it is in our code, apparently, right?
We do enforce it. Yes. It's just that we have a snow emergency route. It's not the entire city. And we do ticket and tow people that overpark on the snow emergency route. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, then, well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously that if we do, and if we do it, there isn't some communication there because people are used to hearing, okay, I gotta move my car at this time so we can clean this side of the street, and we gotta move this area. I know that it was in the New Ulm paper and what other towns around the area. People kept sending me articles of towns in the area that are declaring snow emergencies, telling their people, you can park here tonight, but if you're in these areas, you're gonna be towed. I don't see it, that we've ever done that here. We've never made an announcement and told people not to park your car here because we're gonna tow this area of town. I don't think, I could be wrong.
Downtown Plaza.
Yeah.
Posted.
Yeah.
I mean, there's signs
Yeah.
all up and down.
Anyway.
downtown Plaza.
Exactly.
Well, the
Okay.
point is that,
Keep going.
the point is that that was the number one response. So if we do have one, nobody thinks we do. Another one that we got a comment a lot, and I think it seems like it must have been adjusted, but a lot of people think we don't get out soon enough. And I just had somebody before I came in the meeting call me and tell them, you make sure and tell them that this last couple snowfalls, they did a great job. I come to town and it's all cleared out. You know, so they wanted me to say that because they were impressed. And so people are, I don't know if it's true, but people have the impression that maybe in some of these snowfalls, we didn't get out soon enough. And that's part of the frustration because people have noticed the last couple snowfalls. A number of people have commented about fire hydrants getting covered up. I don't know if that happens or how that happens. But I know people who have fire hydrants on the yards are responsible for keeping them clear, right?
Yep.
And so that sometimes on corners where there's the plows piled snow pretty high, I've got that from a number of people. A number of people seem to, and then quite a number of people feel like for the big snows like we had, that, and then somebody had told me today that Worthington does this, that they hire private people to help during big snows to help get the snow moved out of the downtown so that people can, so the snowplow can stay out cleaning the streets rather than having, I think that one of the things that happened in that big snowstorm, it took a long time to get the snow piles out of downtown because of clearing the rest of town. And there's apparently a number of towns that do hire, some local private people to help haul snow, especially during, some do it all the time, some do it during, so that's some of the feedback I got, and Worthington's one of them. Let's see. Oh, and then the only other thing that I heard from some people, and I think we've already addressed some of that, is having a plan that prioritizes, some non-emergency areas like the industrial park and maybe near the schools that maybe should get at sooner so that all these families come to drop their kids off at school or all these shift workers come and, that the industrial park's cleaned out by 6, so when the shift workers start at 7, there was just suggestions like that. So a number of people were thankful that we're having this. A number of them said, I will never get up and stand up in front of a microphone and share my thoughts. Will you please share this? And other people who couldn't be here tonight, so I said, yes, I'll make a list of, like I say, those things that I mentioned were all the things that were multiple people said. Put them down and share them, you can do them what you want. But, again, I just want to thank people for sharing, because I see Nick's over there making notes, and that doesn't mean that the city has done anything wrong in how they've done things or how they're doing it. We never know, but hearing from people is a good idea, and I really appreciate those of you who came out tonight and shared on the mic. I appreciate those people who, got on Facebook, who sent me emails, who made phone calls, who stopped by my office. I spent a lot of time in this just because of people wanting to share their concerns, so I do want to thank publicly the people that did that, so. Thank you.
Thank
I've
you.
got a quick comment then, as long as we're commenting. I got a handful, just a hand, maybe 4 people. And it was unanimous. Don't spend more money for a once in a 5 or 10 year event. People are doing a very good job. It's Minnesota. Get over it. No, not get over it, but they were all, don't raise my taxes to buy equipment for these events that are rare and random.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got
Any other
probably
council
that.
member?
I got more than that probably, but I asked for it. I put it on Facebook and asked people to comment, but I meant to say that, and thank you for reminding me. I had a lot of people that said exactly the same thing.
Thank you.
I'd like to say too, I'm in favor of doing some sort of emergency, something. My daughter lives in Shaler, Iowa, and they don't park on the street ever. They just clean them off just as quick as, unbelievable. And it's not all, have all the I think the bins, I think that was a problem, the garbage bins and that heavy snowfall. And we shouldn't probably forget about that. Maybe we need to talk to the hometown sanitation or whatever and see if when they announce that we're not coming today, to get them off the street.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We did receive 2 letters that Patty has put at our seats, and I'd like to read them just because they took the time to send them, and they couldn't be here. And one of them is from Ron Strom, and who lives at 1889 Knollwood Drive, and to whom it may concern, I believe the level of snow removal service has been very adequate. Keep up the good work. And then I need to read this one because this lady has called me, and I have been on the phone with her quite a few times, and she took the time to write this, and I would like to read it so everyone can hear what it has to say. To whom it may concern, 1522 Falcon Drive, B.J. Sheaf. Living 20 years on this street, I have brought a couple of issues to the council out without any results. Living across from apartments, they have no driveways or mailboxes. Is there a reason why plows cannot push most of the snow on that property? It would save property owners from digging out mailboxes and driveways, etc. Also, drivers drive like hurry up and get it done. I'm 90 years old and would like some improvement. I don't have much time left. Second, wonder why Falcon Drive has no trucks. It is a narrow street, and I have noticed wider streets have the no truck signs. There is no parking on one side of the street, which no one seems to pay any attention to. Excuse my writing, painful hands, let's get some action, B.J. Sheaf. So, some
And
good-
one more comment.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
would like to, we've heard the snow emergency and better enforcement and maybe changing our snow emergency. I would like us to look at that going forward. I think there's possibly a pretty common consensus that we should get some cars off the street. And I think I'm seeing, yeah, that'd be a good thing from.
And I don't think that there's any doubt about that. Just my experience with riding with the plow driver is he had to slow down, and that was one of the reasons why he got hung up, is because he couldn't go at a complete speed, and he had to slow down and speed up. I do have to say, though, when Mike and I were first married, we were people that parked on the street because we had no place
I
else
get
to
it.
go. So if that is what the council would decide to do, having no parking on the streets, where we got to have a place for people to park. And so just to add to that, it's just not so simple as saying, in my opinion, it's not so just as simple to say we're going to have no parking on streets. Okay, but where can people park then? Because I don't think we want to get into the business of being that city that tickets people and the tow drivers have to drive it to take cars away. I don't think we want it. We want to be user friendly, but there has to be a nice balance, and as it's been mentioned, other cities do it, and so maybe we just need to learn from them on how they do it in a successful way for everybody.
May I suggest that city staff, Mr. Humple and Mr. Lardy, talk about it?
Yep, exactly.
Try to put together a plan
Good
for
point.
something to bring to us. I'd appreciate that
Mayor
personally.
and council and citizens, we're listening for a reason, so we can look at our policies and procedures and then see how we can do a better job to better serve the public from when there's large snows and to better serve those who may or may not need to park somewhere. So
Exactly.
we're taking all of this into consideration. It goes without saying.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And thanks for everyone
for
for
everyone
being
coming.
here
Appreciate
and
it.
sharing your thoughts. We really appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Next item, 15.1, BDPI grant for deed, and Lindsay is here to address the council.
Hello, Mayor and Council.
Hello.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lindsay Price. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator here for the City of Fairmont. And I came to ask you to support FIDA in writing a grant application to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development for a Greater Minnesota Business Development Public Infrastructure Grant. And I have attached the resolution that would be required, and it states that the mayor and city clerk would be authorized to apply for it on behalf of the city, that the city does have the legal authority, that the city has not violated any federal, state, or local laws, that we will comply with all applicable laws and regulations and rules as stated with all contract agreements, and that we would provide the match of $450,000, which is half of the total project cost. And we would start the project within 18 months of award and would finish within 5 years. And I wanted to show you kind of what the project is. Can I go over there?
You go right ahead.
Okay.
Ask that maybe Troy can give you that microphone, and then people could hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, very good.
There you go.
Okay, so I just kind of want to show you here is this is I-90, and this is the second exit of I-90, or the industrial exit. And then this one here is County State Aid Road 39, or Bixby Road. There's the fairgrounds and the CHS and ethanol plant over here. The property that we're trying to get to is the corner right there at the intersection of I-90 and Bixby Road. And right now, our services, this is a little bit blurry, but I believe our sewer is right here. It's a little, okay, so currently it's right here, so it would need to be extended all the way down here to serve this area. That's a 37-acre parcel that we would be opening up for development in the future. And then our water is somewhere down over here, so it's a little bit closer. And to get that total project, it's about $700,000, $800,000. So we would be saying that we need $450,000. So that also means that I would be writing the grant in the amount of $450,000. So as a part of applying for it, I am required to have council approval. I did take this to FIDA last month, and it was approved unanimously. Both Councilor Hawkins and Councilor Peters serve on that board.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you, Lindsay. Any questions for Lindsay? If they're not, is there please a motion to approve Resolution 2018-09 in support of the BDPI grant application for 50% of the total project cost to extend infrastructure to the new industrial property at CSAH 39 and I-90? Is there a
So moved.
Second.
motion offered by Peters and second by Hawkins? Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Councilor Darling?
So have we got some idea in the back of our mind where the city's match is coming from?
Yes, Mike will answer that question.
Good question, Councilor Zarla. We're, obviously, 2018 isn't a bonding year or one of our improvement years, so we have 18 months to do this, so we're looking at some sort of bonding in 2019 and completing the project. It's one of those things where, you know, we get one, for every dollar we put up, we get matched, and so it's a pretty good deal for us, $450,000 state money to do this project. So that's what we're looking at, specifically whether we do something through our water and wastewater departments or through bonding, but more than likely we'll have to borrow some money to.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Lindsay? If not, a roll call vote, please, Patty.
Peters,
Yes.
Zarling,
Yes.
Cyphers,
Yes.
Hassick.
Yes.
Hawkins.
Yes.
And resolution passed. Thanks for being here, Lindsay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to the
Thanks,
FEDA
Lindsay.
board also. 15.2, call for a public hearing on proposed ordinance 2018-11, stormwater ordinance, and Troy.
Evening, Mayor and Council. The city's existing stormwater ordinance was set in place, I believe, in 2011 was when it was first initiated. Based on some changes and requirements from the EPA as well as the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, we do need to update our ordinance and add some additional stipulations regarding stormwater and best management practices within the city of Fairmont. So what we're looking to do is call for a public hearing on the ordinance for the March 12th meeting. We'll have a presentation about the new ordinance, some of the new requirements that will be in the ordinance, and then we'll talk a little bit about what that means for projects, construction projects within the city of Fairmont. We have the draft ordinances on the city website right now, so people can review it ahead of time. And we also have a survey regarding stormwater, just a kind of a general survey that we'd like people to take as well regarding stormwater, kind of a bigger picture of just to see where everyone stands on stormwater and what they feel about water quality. So I would ask that public would go on the city website. It was sent out on Facebook, I believe, on Friday, if you received that, but there is a link on the city website as well to take that quick 10-question survey, so.
Troy, is there a printed version of that for people that don't have access to the website?
We can print it out.
Okay, and they can
Yeah,
just,
we'll have that at City Hall here.
thank you very
Yep.
much. Thank you.
Can you give us just a little highlight about what are some of the major changes or updates or whatever?
I think generally speaking, the biggest change is this will require a land disturbance permit, an actual permit for grading activities. It does bring it down. Our current stormwater ordinance applies to lands disturbance greater than half an acre. This brings it down to a smaller footprint in the couple thousand square foot, depending on the type of project. So we'll have a couple different levels of land disturbance permits for smaller projects, even residential construction, up to the bigger commercial projects, industrial projects, and any subdivisions. There's some additional water quality, stormwater volume requirements that come with this as well for new construction and added impervious surface. Again, all water quality requirements that are coming down from the MPCA. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Troy? If not, is there please a motion to schedule a public hearing on proposed ordinance 2018-11 for March 12th, 2018 at 5:30 PM here in the City Hall Council Chambers?
So moved.
Motion offered by Zarling.
Second.
And second by Hassick. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next one is 15.3, MnDOT Airport Vehicle Grant Agreement, and Troy.
The city requested MnDOT Aeronautics to replace a maintenance vehicle out at the airport as part of their grant program. The cities, the state will pay for maintenance vehicles at 70%, with the 30% share being the city's cost. This was part of the city's capital improvement plan in 2017. Funds were budgeted in 2017 to do this work, and it's just trickled over with some state bidding requirements at the state as well as some requirements through the Office of Aeronautics. So we have all that ironed out to get a vehicle. The city's share of the vehicle is $13,000 for the new plow truck and maintenance vehicle at the airport. So staff is recommending approving this grant to get a new maintenance vehicle at the airport.
Any questions for Troy?
I only have one. I thought we were contracting out snow removal at the airport.
We do, and they use the vehicle that we have out there now.
Oh, okay.
Our
It's
equipment.
part of it,
Contracted.
Yep,
In
but they
fact-
use our equipment for what they-
Gotcha. Okay,
their
thanks.
snow removal.
Okay. With that, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2018-10 and authorize the mayor to sign MnDOT grant agreement number 1030626 for a new maintenance vehicle at the airport.
So moved.
Second.
Motion offered,
Fourth.
offered by Peters and second by Cyphers. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Patty.
Zarling,
Yes.
Cyphers,
Yes.
Passick,
Yes.
Hawkins.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Resolution passed. 15.4, professional services for public works building. Troy.
In 2015, the city hired ISG to do a feasibility analysis of the existing streets and parks facility, with kind of looking at what the function of the existing facility was, as well as the condition of the facility, safety requirements, work efficiency requirements. They did that report in 2015, and following that, as part of that, they estimated some construction costs for a new public works facility. Over the last couple of years, we've been had this project included in the capital improvement program to look at building a new public works facility. So what, in the 2018 budget, money was set aside to pay for design of a new public works facility building or an addition to the existing. So what we're looking at doing is approving ISG to continue with that work. They provided a proposal to do the design fees for 7.5% of the construction cost. You can see the numbers there. We're estimating the total project to be around $5 million right now with construction and architectural design fees. So staff is recommending that we enter into a contract with ISG to get the design done for a new public works facility.
Thank you. Any questions for Troy? Hearing none, is there please a motion to approve the mayor to execute a professional services contract with ISG for a new public works building?
So move.
Motion offered by Hawkins
Second.
and second by Zarling. Any further discussion? Might only say again how old that building is that we currently have?
There's pieces, but in 1960s, early
Okay.
60s was the first portion, and additions in the 60s and 70s.
Thank you.
That could be a tear down replace plan?
More than likely. We
Yes.
looked at two options when we did the feasibility of trying to salvage a portion of it, but
It'll be a little larger than our current footprint, or? Good.
Yep.
I thought we decided for sure it was gonna be a tear down back a couple of years ago.
Well,
That wasn't a
it's-
given, huh?
It's not a given, nothing's for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we're looking pretty strongly at, I think a new facility gives us a little bit more flexibility on the site with traffic flow and vehicle movements.
And Troy and Nick we had the council out to tour the building, and so if anyone wasn't able to attend that, I know they'd give you another tour if you'd like to go see what the current building is like. So, any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you. 16.1, accounts payable, Paul.
Just asking for approval to pay the bills for February. I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Paul? Hearing none, is there please a motion to approve the payment of the February 2018 bills?
So moved.
Motion offered by Hassick,
Second.
second by Cyphers. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next item is 17, and Mike, do you have anything you'd like to add to 17? No. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add to 17? My only thing I'm going to add is just a reminder that March 17th will be the first meeting that we will have of Saturday with the city, and it will be at the KC Hall from 10 to 11. It will be advertised so that all council members, if you'd like to attend, will be able to attend. Megan will be giving a small presentation on the responsibilities that she has following rules that are made, and I would just love everyone to attend if it works for your schedule. There'll be no cameras, there'll be no microphones. It will just be a nice setting that we are there to listen and to answer any questions that the community may have. Senior staff will be there, and so it will be a good day. And so I hope everyone can attend. 10 to 11, KC Hall, March 17th. Anything else? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion offered by
Second.
Zarling and second by Hawkins. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried, and the meeting is adjourned.